This episode, reconnecting with your existing customers. Has your business slowed a little bit? Well, both John and I have seen a bit of a slowing as far as business inquiries going, meaning people looking for work to be done. We thought we'd give you some ideas on how to reconnect with some of your customers so that you can increase your business flow. And we'll even discuss the state of the economy a little bit and some things like that. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition is entitled Reconnecting with Existing Customers. And to help me explain, I'm here with my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, John.
Yes, sir.
Johnny, anything exciting happening this week?
Not exciting. Now I did just get back from North Carolina, which was beautiful. And all you folks that live up there, I really like it up there. It's beautiful. So lucky you. But I get it's gonna start to get a little chilly in the mountains though next week. But other than doing my handyman thing, that's been exciting, Larry.
All right.
How about you?
Well, we traveled a little bit like you. We had to go to a wedding. We went to Chattanooga, and then we also went up to one of the state parks here in Georgia and did a little, as they say, old people's LSD. We were looking at leaf changing colors and things like that. It was really a nice little trip that we took. It was beautiful. The weather was fantastic.
The weather was great. We were both out of town at the same time.
Yeah, it's been really, really good. All right, Johnny, before we get into our topic of reconnecting with existing customers, we did want to ask you to please like and subscribe to our shows. We're trying to build our subscriber base, and so we're trying to work the algorithms, the magic algorithms that all run our lives and blah, 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 and so forth and so on. On your right, if you're on our YouTube channel on the right-hand side, there's a little red subscribe button. If you would hit that and subscribe to our shows, and if you don't like us, well, on you anyway, and there you go. With that, anything to add there?
Yeah, well, no, you got to hit that subscribe button and mash the like button. Just keep going. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. It really helps us get the word out we're trying to make millions on this. Yeah, not at all. Anyway, be that as it may.
I can't take any more money, Larry.
That's right.
I've got enough. I've got enough. A couple billion. That's it.
That's right. All right. Well, so John, I've seen a bit of a slowdown as far as business inquiries go. Now, I'm not sure that this isn't just a seasonal thing, and both you and I concur this might just be. So we're recording this right in what is this? What is this? Late October, I guess. And so generally this time of year, it either gets really busy or it slows up a little bit. And I look back through the years of doing my research on the years that I've been doing this in business, and it's been either or. It really has been an either or. It's either been we started getting busy because people are getting ready for the holidays, or it's slowed way up to kind of a crawl, which is kind of where we're at. So we're not necessarily thinking this is a trend. Both you and I concurred what we were thinking about if it doesn't pick up towards the beginning of the year, I think. Is what we were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think, what happened. Well, what we've got going right now is we've got a bit of an ill wind in the economic atmosphere.
Well, it's very uncertain, I think.
Yeah,
is the way
so
to put it.
There's a little bit of that. I mean, I can not to go into too much, but we all walk out of the grocery store now with one bag that's probably worth $70. So it's taxing on all of us, with the amount of money that the inflation rate and everything. So there could be, this can be hitting. Now, I will say that there's, the upside of this, if there is an upside, is that mortgage, I know that, the downside is mortgage rates are, 8% or greater depending. But people are not being able to sell their homes or be able, they want to maybe move to another house and you can't move and blah, blah, blah. So maybe this is another thing that's an advantage to the folks that want to fix their house up.
Correct.
That's another thing I was thinking about. So, but having said that, this can stifle some activity out there, right? And
I just have one thing to say. Thank God you went to the London School of Business Economics. That's
well,
all
Larry,
I can say.
I have studied quite a bit about capital markets and the especially in bonds. So,
Good.
anyways,
It's good. Yeah. And you've got some nice, beautiful farmland in South Florida to sell us for
and
a
a
very
bridge.
reasonable and a bridge. Yeah.
But back to the point here is that if things are kind of slowing down now, even if it isn't, there's always that dip that we experience. Whether it be right around sometimes the holidays it picks up. Sometimes you get into a couple of weeks during the holidays where nothing happens,
Right.
and maybe you're just looking to say, hey, I want to pick up some extra dough here. But anyways, that kind of got us thinking about. It's not a panic. It's not, anything like that, but it's how do I, pick up a couple of, weeks worth of business, if not more.
Or fill a few holes
Yeah.
in your
Fill
schedule.
holes. And yeah,
How do you
right.
fill holes in
Mm-hmm.
the schedule?
Right.
And a lot of that just is part of it is just you if you've been in the business for a while, you have a base of business customers. And I guess our question to you is, do you keep in touch with those customers on a regular basis? And so the first step, John, I mean, in my opinion, is go back through your customer base and see what work you've done for somebody, and is there the potential to make a contact and just say, hey, a simple contact. Hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. We're just wondering, is everything okay? Are you still in the same house? I know that sounds funny, but I've actually had several of my customers have moved, and I found this out via
Mm-hmm.
other sources. But I personally have been so busy for so long that I haven't followed these words because business has been in abundance, for lack of a better word. I mean, literally, it was more a scheduling issue than it was anything else. And I partially think part of the reason for this is that we've sort of finished up everybody's to-do lists. Finally, it's taken years, but I personally think that's part of it as well. And so it's time to start recontacting some of the customers just to get to get a little bit of business generation done, just as it is.
Well, it's always good to reconnect, right? It's always good to touch base with people. We always talk about that we're the kind of the trusted advisors for their home.
Correct.
And it's always good that the trusted advisor, you talk to him every once in a while, him or her, and you reconnect with people.
Right.
And now it's hey, it's holiday season. We're starting to get into that. So not a bad thing to, reach out and, talk to some of these people. And,
so John, if you're reaching out, would you reach out by email or by phone?
Well, I would do it by phone, Larry.
Why?
Because, everybody likes a conversation. I don't like an asynchronous conversation. It's got to be bi-direction. It's got to be, boom, boom, boom. We got to have this back and forth. I don't like, in this case, I don't like to just send an email. I'd rather reach out and connect with them personally.
Right. And I concur with that. I just had to ask the question because
But
a
that's
lot
me.
of it, and that's us, and we come out of a background of sales, and so we're honestly, I mean, I'll do cold calls, as you will as well, and cold calls are a radically different thing. These are not cold calls, folks. These are people you've been in their homes, or hopefully you've been in their homes. This is not something where you're just calling them out of the blue. And part of that, as we already mentioned, is go back and research when's the last time you talked to this particular person. Well, first off, I guess hopefully you have records of your customer base.
We've talked about all that stuff before, folks. So
We
by now
have,
you should.
but you should have, you should at least have a name, a phone number, and an address. I would hope an address and at least possibly an email address. And I mean, my personal opinion is pick up the phone and just say, hey, I don't know, if you hung a ceiling fan for me, say, hey, I just, I'm calling just to check in, right? I'm calling to make sure everything's good with the ceiling fan. I see we did that. I was making some calls. I know we've got the holidays coming up, and we were wondering, and John, we talked about this. We were going to do a little bit of role playing, but one of the things we said is you have to have a value add to the conversation, right?
Yeah. So let's say, Larry, I call
You have to have a reason for the call,
right,
is what it is.
right. I'm not going to call you up and say, hey, Larry, you got anything for me to do?
Yeah. Hey, I'm bored today. Do you have a job for me? That's
I would
not going to
say,
get you much.
no. No, I'm getting a haircut this morning. But thanks, Larry. See you later. Click.
Johnny, that sounds like the last time I asked you to go out to dinner.
Right.
No, I'm getting a
Yeah.
prostate exam that day. Sorry,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I got better
Okay.
things to do. Comb my hair. So yeah. But we try to avoid that. And back to your point about the email. Even if when you call people up, even if they don't answer, leave them a voicemail.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it's your voice. When you on the email, it's just too cold and just for in this case, it's
It's
that's
too easy to just say to just
right.
delete, to just hit delete,
Or
you
not
know.
get back to you, and blah. Hopefully you can call somebody up. You want to add, to me, it's, always have a reason to call them and add value. If you call them up and like we were just kind of role playing there, it's like, yeah, I got, hey, got anything for me to do? That's not adding any value. And so how many times is that guy or girl or woman going to pick up the phone next time they see your number come through?
Probably not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I got better things to do, right? I, I'm going, I got to comb my hair. So, but if you call them up and say, hey, I did, you remember the time that you were in the Bahamas and you called me up and your smoke detectors were going off? Well, now's the time for me to, come on over and check out those smoke detectors again. Or
Yeah.
something. So back to let me take a couple steps back. One of the things that from a record standpoint is when I create an invoice, I put all the detail of everything that I've done in there.
And
Not
so do I.
so
Yes.
when before I get back to people, I know exactly what I've done for them in the past, step by step. So even they'll even forget about it.
Yes, they do.
Now I can bring up a lot of detail, and it makes you. It's like, hey man, this guy's really on top of things here.
Correct.
So
It's
you're
about
adding
building
you're adding
credibility.
value, and
Yep.
you've got your little bit of an agenda is, I'm trying to get some more business, but you're not going to come right out and say, hey, you got anything for me to do? You start a different
Uh, I
conversation.
I've got a mortgage payment due and I'm broke. Do
Right.
you have anything for me to do?
Right.
No, I
Right.
don't.
Right.
Right?
Now I'm begging.
Exactly. It's not a beg. It's all you're trying to do is see
Right.
if there is anything. The goal of the call is to make that contact and offer up value of some sort. And again, so this is in the fall time that we're recording this. And one of the things you can say is just a very simple thing. Hey, I'm just checking to make sure you've winterized your home properly. Have you checked your this, that, and the other thing? And they're going to say yes, yes, no, or no, or hey, thanks for telling me. I didn't really even think about that.
Yeah, there's a couple outcomes here, right? And then
Correct.
we'll go into the next phase of this. But there's a couple outcomes that come. Hey, man, thanks for checking up on me, like you just said. I've been meaning to call you anyways.
Is one. Yep.
Okay. And I do have some other things. Come to think of it, I do have a couple of other things. I've been meaning to talk to you about. Or it's just, hey, thanks for checking in. And before you leave, right? You say the next phase of this is, I've got some time in my schedule. Do you know of anybody else around you or friends that might need some services at this time of the year?
Yeah, and I would add, just give an add to that, is give people specific people to think about. Do something like in the neighborhood of, is there anyone in your neighborhood
Yeah.
that might need something? Or is there anyone, if you know that, if you spend any time with the people, you know what their interests are. And just for example, I'm going to use different things. If somebody is an active member of a church, you can just say, hey, is there anybody down at the church that might need something done for them? Give them a specific
Yeah.
set of people to actually think
Yeah.
about. Or if they have kids, that's an easy one, because then you've got so many different groups. Hey, is there anybody on John's or Susie's soccer team that might need something? And they go, oh, I was talking to so and so, and yeah, they actually, you give them somebody specific to think about. Just say, hey, just it saying, do you know somebody that might need something is too broad. It gives them too many people to look at.
Yeah,
Narrow it
good
down
point.
a little bit.
Good
Just
point.
narrow it down a little
But
bit.
I think it comes down to just having that conversation, and it'll
Right.
flow. It'll
It'll
flow, but
flow.
just know what you're trying to get across to them. And then a nice way is, I've got some time in my schedule. Boom, boom, boom. Anybody else? Larry just brought up some good points. Anybody else in your neighborhood, down at your church, that could use my services or use services this time of year or whatever it might be? And the conversation will flow.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll say, "Hey, I know somebody just asked me about somebody," or
Right.
no, and then it's like, you know what? Fantastic. I'm glad everything's going well for you, and you know, and there
And
you
with
go.
even if it goes, no, really don't know anybody right now. All right, well, great. Well, I'm just check. I just we appreciate the business, and your ending call, if you get turned down, turned down, which is fine, and it happens. They just don't know anybody. You call, who knows? Everybody's got a million things going on.
Yeah,
John, for one, has to comb his hair a lot, so it's
yeah,
on his
yeah.
mind constantly, and
Yeah, that's
so
why I
he
never pick up the phone when I see you come through on it.
see that's like I said, he's busy combing his hair. And no, I mean, in all seriousness, but just say, hey, you know what? Is it okay if, I'll be checking back in another 2 or 3 months anyway, just to make sure everything's okay. And then just follow
Yeah,
through with
and
it.
always leave some kind of an action, right?
Yeah.
I'll be calling back, or I'll check back. I'll check back with you. But I think, okay, now let's put this in perspective of the homeowner. How many people that you have work for you on your home and stuff actually ever call back and show interest,
In what
about
they've
how you're
done.
doing and how my past work is?
Right. Exactly. Unless it's directly tied to a monetary thing. And I'm going to use one example. My HVAC company is very good about getting back to us, but it's
On the
not
service
couched.
side of
It's
things.
on a service side.
Yes.
It's always like, hey, it's time for your annual
It's
service.
not a friendly call.
Correct.
It's not a trusted advisor type of call.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
what we're talking about is being a trusted advisor,
right.
right?
And the doing that, the business will flow.
It will.
I certainly believe that,
I,
because you're going to
I,
be the first one that they're going to think of for anything. They're going to be like, wow, usually I'm the person that's chasing all these contractors or everybody. This guy's
exactly.
he actually picks up the phone and calls me.
Exactly. And that's the difference right there.
Mm-hmm.
And even just leave a message, again, back to what John said, if they don't pick up the phone, for example, leave a message. And the message is really, really simple. Hey, it's Larry from Handyman Services. I'm just doing a quick follow up. We did some work. Just basically, just reiterate. We did. I installed that ceiling fan. I'm just checking to make sure everything's okay. And and you can even leave the short message. Hey, we've got some time in the schedule. If anything comes up, don't hesitate to reach back out to us. And
Bingo.
nobody. That is a very non-threatening message, and somebody's going to go, they're either going to go yeah, yes, no, but at least they're going to say, listen, like literally, how many people have ever left you that message?
No,
and
no,
and my
absolutely.
answer is like nobody.
Right.
I mean,
That's
very
that's
few.
exactly it. And so once again, and we weren't going to dive into a marketing thing. You guys can go back
Right.
and research that. But it's once again separating yourself from the competition.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right. Some action items on this. I just wanted to throw out some action items things. First off is create a list, stay customer focused, research your customers, right? Go back and look at your customers. Try to encourage referrals if you actually get into that conversation. If they have no work themselves, encourage some referrals and engage your customers in such a way that it's positive and pleasant. You should have a good working relationship with them. You should be able to just have a great conversation just in general. Those are your action items. Go out and do that. And it's almost a guarantee you're going to fill your holes in your schedule because you really will. I think one of the things, John, you and I talked about this. John and I haven't done a lot of this in the past. Let me rephrase that. When I was selling, I did it all the time when I was just selling. But now that I'm doing the handyman service where there's a big, long service component in, I've been slow to do this largely because I was overwhelmed in my scheduling as it was. And so you can control this process because it's all depends on how many calls you make, right, John? Folks, I'm going to tell you, if you make 100 calls, you're going to get something out of it. unless you're just, I mean, unless, I don't know, if you can't get something out of 100 phone calls, something's really wrong. And I would tell you, actually, it's probably more like 10 phone calls. You make 10 phone calls, I think you're going to have business and fill all the holes in your schedule. Do you agree with that, John?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, all the statistics will bear you out. You know, if you're out there, you know, now we're talking about in this program right here, we're talking about just calling customers, not cold calling. So,
Right, right.
you know, cold calling is a different story with its own statistics, which I'd say, you know, make the 100 calls and so on and so forth. But here, I guarantee you probably, you know, probably get a couple of things out of 10 calls.
Oh, yeah, I'm
You
almost
know, and
guaranteed.
I'll tell you the other thing that occurs to me about these kind of conversations. You know, this time of year we're all under a lot of stress. We talked about the this kind of economic environment that we're in right now. You know, there's not a whole lot of good news going around. You know, and a lot of times you're under stress. You're got all this other news going on. These are good conversations. You know,
Right.
these are pleasant conversations. There's no pressure. There's no this. You're actually, somebody's actually caring about you, and this kind of really will, you know, brighten somebody's morning or day. You know, really, when you make these kind of calls.
Well, it should.
Yeah.
If it's not, you need to rethink your presentation.
Exactly, exactly, and
And
I
it's
think
really that simple.
that's a good point, and that's what we want to bring across is, you know, make these pleasant, but you know, both
Johnny, I
sides.
have a question for you. The last time the spaceship landed in in your yard, did it make it pleasant for you?
Um, yeah, so
Well, I don't want the answer. I don't want
I
the
don't
answer.
know. They introduce you to a new tool every time. Jeez.
Oh yeah, you're right. These two, we can make it really bad.
Yeah,
We're
it's
not. This is a
bad.
family show, Johnny. It's
Yeah,
a
okay.
family show. That's all I'm going to say.
All
All
right.
right, folks. If you really like what we do here on the Pros Radio Show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really, really appreciate it. We're trying to get our numbers up. It's all good. We're just trying to get the word out. We hope we're bringing you value. If we're not bringing you value, send us an email, questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. We will give us some suggestions on how we can bring you some value. If you want business tips or you want more actual homeowner tips or whatever it is that you want, we are open to content generation. We'll do whatever, you know, you would find valuable. Trust me. You know, it just is what it is. We want to be useful to you, our listeners. Subscribe to we have an email, we have a newsletter. Subscribe to that at handymanprosradioshow.com. And also we are on Facebook at Handyman Pros. With that, John?
I think that's it, Larry. We're going to be out of here, and we sure are thankful for everybody watching the show today. And have a great week, and catch us on YouTube. And we'll see you next time on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.